Yo, it's Go and welcome to the video. I have tons of clips from doing Naxx, 25 and 10 man, Eye of Eternity, and Obsidian Sanctum over the past couple days. So I'll leave a link in the description to all of the clips on Twitch. Yesterday I had a 10 man Naxx. It's in two parts. The stream did lag a little bit, but there will be a link to the logs in the description of both of those. There's a full 25 man Naxx run from yesterday where you can see how any of the trash was, any of the bosses were. Also a link for the logs in this one. 25 man Eye of Eternity. There are logs for this fight, but the Obsidian Sanctum, we did 2 drakes after trying 3 drakes a few attempts, and I didn't have logs for this fight. But if you wanted to see boss by boss in Naxx 25, I did separate my first run in there. It was a slightly different spec than what I ran yesterday. I don't think I performed as well, but if you can't be bothered to click through the full VOD of yesterday's Naxx run, and you wanted to see just a certain boss or something quickly, then you can scroll through, click whichever boss you want, and there are logs for each of these fights in the description of these. So some of this gear I might not have had equipped in Naxx 25, I might have put it on after, but here's basically what I had. The Cowl of Vanity, the badge necklace, tier shoulders, a crafted cloak, the tier chest, some heroic bracers, the caster fist weapon, badge offhand. I was idol swapping with this spec, so I have the idol of the moon goddess and also the idol of steadfast renewal. It's clipped off there a little bit, but 70 damage to wrath. The tier gloves, the badge belt, some heroic legs, boots of septic wounds. On the beta, you're able to kind of cheese the rings from Dalaran that you can buy, and I'm no longer an enchanter, so that's why the 12 spell power is all red. And for my trinkets, Dying Curse and Sundial of the Exile. So unbuffed in Moonkin form, I have 20/20 bonus damage. I was a little bit under hit cap. Didn't seem too bad though. I was more focused on trying to get crit instead of hit because the crit is pretty low, only 25.5% in Moonkin form. Same with the haste rating, I'm just under cap by about 25 points. The first raid night, mana didn't seem to be much of an issue at all. So I chose to not grab as many mana talents for the second raid, but I had no points in Genesis, none in Brambles, 0 in Dream State, which at least on the tooltip, even putting points in here doesn't reflect any gain in mana regen. So even though I had some points in here the first Naxx and I didn't the second, I don't know if that really changed anything from this talent in particular. And then no Typhoon, no Gale Winds. This was my more like single target boss spec, and I did have 2 out of 3 points in Alkin Frenzy. Then the Resto Tree, I haven't really ever mixed this up. I usually just spend these 13 points, get Omen of Clarity, 2 in Master Shapeshifter. For my glyphs, I did have Glyph of Innervate, Glyph of Focus, and Glyph of Starfall. Right before our Naxx run started, the glyph vendors went away, so I wasn't able to switch. I wanted to switch Glyph of Focus for Starfire to see how the Starfire glyph was working, but I did want to keep that Innervate glyph just in case, and it did pay off a little bit. I was innervating a Disc Priest on a lot of fights, so this at least gave me some mana back for myself. And the Glyph of Starfall I always have, and I was switching specs. My second spec had the same Innervate, Focus, and Starfall glyphs. This was more of like an AoE trash spec. Again, the same 13 points in the Resto Tree. And the Balance Tree, I did like having points in Brambles just to pop treants on trash, and so I don't have to change this spec really from like AoE farming in the open world. But no Nature Splendor, no improved Moonfire, no Insect Swarm at all, no improved Fairy Fire because it is trash, don't really need hit, and I'm not going to be tab Fairy Firing hardly anything. The trash just melts. All 3 points in Alkin Frenzy in case I do pull threat from a mob and get hit. I can kind of get this to proc a little bit, and Typhoon and 2 in Gale Winds. So how was mana? Only having 1 point in Moonglow as the only mana talent really, none in Intensity, none in Dream State. In a 25 man raid, it was kind of sketchy on a couple fights that were a little bit longer than others. Giving that Innervate to somebody else like the Disc Priest like I was having to do did make it a little bit tough, but if you're able to keep that Innervate for yourself because everyone is a little bit better geared than some of these template characters were, then I think we might be okay with not having too many points in our mana regen talents, even in phase 1. Mana in the 10-man that I did was a little bit rougher, even with Innervate. We didn't have Vitalize, I think it's called, that 1% every 2-second mana return talent that some specs give. Oh, I was definitely feeling not having that raid buff on some of the fights in the 10-man, so definitely make sure that your comp has that so you don't run out of mana. But other than that, overall damage seemed to be pretty good. We had a rogue that was absolutely blasting, a feral druid that was also just doing some crazy AoE damage, and armor pen isn't even working correctly in the game right now, so I would expect those two to be doing even better. Single target boss damage, pulling 5k DPS. Lotheb was an extremely fun fight. I didn't get a spore until I think it was like the 4th spore, so wasn't able to have that crit uptime as much as some of the other people did, but still pulling 6600 DPS. Critting almost every cast is probably my most fun fight in Naxx. Getting that first spore, I know I could have had over 7k DPS just like our rogue did. Thanks for checking this video out, and if you have any questions about any of the raids or any boss fights in particular, let me know and I'll get back to you.